My story is a little bit different. I came from the nightclubs. So I came to Christ around 2011. And before then, I was singing in nightclubs and pubs and running music events in nightclubs and pubs. And that was pretty much my thing, doing rock and roll music and, you know, getting wasted on narcotics and alcohol and every drug that you could name and imagine. That was me. And I was the best at doing it. I was the very best. There's no one better than me. At 6 in the morning, I've been able to maintain some level of debauchery. And, you know, I studied music like in my own time. I really kind of got into American music and I got into country and blues. And I was really looking to get to the core of how popular music came to be what it is in the modern day. And as I got deeper into the core, it took me to like original American gospel music. And I'd be listening to the old blues, the old country, and the old gospel. And there was something in the old gospel music that was touching me different. And like I couldn't figure out what it was, but I could tell that like Mahalia Jackson and Shirley Caesar and people like this, they were singing, but it wasn't for entertainment. And it was really hitting me. I was like, okay, so what is it? There's something in their voice that I can feel the pain and the struggle, but there's an overriding hope in their voice and in what they're singing about. And I wanted to know what that hope was. You know, I later found that hope was Jesus Christ. But then I didn't know what it was. It was just something inside. So I used to be at these parties full of cocaine, full of all of these different drugs. And I'd be sat watching YouTube at 5 in the morning with the people that have not crashed out. And I would play Mahalia Jackson. And there's one video where she sings Amazing Grace on the Johnny Cash show from like the 1970s. And it's a completely secular audience. And she stands there and she closes her eyes and she worships God for about 6 minutes singing Amazing Grace. And it used to make me cry. And I used to weep, full of cocaine, full of alcohol. And I'd cry and I didn't know why I was crying and I didn't know what was going on. And I decided, right, let me find a proper gospel choir, bring them onto my nightclub event, and at midnight, without telling anybody, it's going to be a surprise, I'll just put the gospel band, bam, in the nightclub when everyone's drunk. And whatever's making me cry is going to also touch them in some way. That was my vision. And one day, I woke up on a Saturday morning in a what we call in England a sesh house, which is a house where everybody's taking drugs and everybody's being crazy. And I woke up on a Saturday morning, like sleeping on the sofa with about an hour's sleep, and I just had a compelling, like, I need to get out of here. And I left and I walked down the main street in the town of Middlesbrough, and I heard the music that I was looking for. I was like, whoa. And it was coming out of this church on a Saturday morning. And I went in there, and it took me about 25 minutes to get the bravery to walk in, because I felt like I was dirty. I felt like I wasn't good enough to go into this church and talk to these glorious, holy people. And, you know, once I got the bravery, I went in there, connected with them. I said, look, I've been looking for you. I need you to come and sing in my nightclub. They laughed, they smiled, they loved on me. I never felt anything like that before. We swapped numbers, and I met with the keyboard player, and he said, look, the pastor said we can't come and sing in your nightclub event. I said, no problem. What are your Sunday services like? And he just smiled at me with the biggest smile I've ever seen. Because when you're coming from the nightclubs, everything's a little bit fake, a little bit like, this smile was real. And I said, no problem. I'm coming this Sunday. I stood outside the church. I smoked 20 cigarettes. I was that nervous. And went into the church. And, you know, the rest is history. Within a few weeks, I was in the worship team. Within a month, I'd kicked cigarettes. I'd kicked drugs. And I'd had experiences with Jesus that, you know, just changed my life completely. And that's how my journey started. And, you know, it's pretty much a long story if we want to go into deeper than that. But that's how I got on the path. And, you know, I never knew that I would be singing songs of worship and praise to God and looking to move that around the world. I didn't know that was going to be what I was called to or what I'd be doing, but I'm so glad that it is. And I give all the glory to Jesus, you know.
I mean, it can only be him, isn't it? Stories like what you guys have shared, you can't make